And that's going to be like one of the
Yep. I'll mention it.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly. It's Brent Bergeron. You'll see it on here.
Oh, it is?
Yep,
Okay.
right there.
Okay.
Bring us to order, Terry. These politicians will talk to the council.
Tell me when to go, gentlemen. Okay. Okay, thank you. Welcome, everyone, to Monroe Town Hall. I'd like to say thank you to the citizens that showed up today, as well as the local constituents and state elected officials. Thank you very much. It is our great honor at the town of Monroe to allow SBA to be here to help our community and surrounding communities through this flood tragedy. It's been a difficult time for our community and other communities, and this is another step towards recovery. So thank you, everyone, and without further ado, I would like to announce Deputy Commissioner Brenda Bergeron from Department of Emergency Services and Homeland Security. Thank you.
Thank you very much, First Selectman. Thank you for having us here today. The office for the SBA is open behind me for business, and you'll hear more about that. I do want to give you some brief information on where we are and the status of things that we've been working on. I am joined today by Bob Fogel, who's the Federal Coordinating Officer for this disaster. Our partnership with FEMA, SBA, the state, and especially our communities is really invaluable, and that's where we are in the recovery phase now. A couple of interesting things to share with you. First of all, on the individual assistance side, we've received over 1,000 registrations already. There are 14 inspectors from FEMA out going to make an appointment with folks and do an inspection for them. Realize that inspectors will not come to your house without an appointment, so it's important that you make sure that the person that is at your house is somebody that you've made an appointment with. They won't ask you for any money. So those are just some things to think of as you're moving forward. FEMA has already dispensed over $3 million. Remember that the maximum, there's a number of different maximums that FEMA, you are eligible for as a homeowner, including housing repair up to $42,500, and then also other needs assistance, which is an area that's very important. It could be some assistance for things like hot water heaters or furnaces or things like that, as well as rental assistance and possibly as well relocation assistance. So it's very important that you register with FEMA, you give them the information that they need, they will come out and see you, and you are also going to be able to go to 2 different disaster recovery centers in order to meet with people right up front. The first center will be opening in Southbury at the Southbury Town Hall on Thursday, and we have the hours and things like that. If there's any questions about that, there's been a lot of publicity on it, but we'll continue to push it. And then the second facility, did I say Thursday? So Southbury opens tomorrow on Wednesday, and then Wilton will have one at the Our Lady of Fatima Church in Wilton opening on Thursday. So those are places where there will be FEMA people to help you, and there'll also be SBA folks. So, you know, if you have a question, that's a place to go. The last thing I wanted to mention was that we have reached our preliminary damage assessment. We finished it with FEMA for the assistance for municipalities. It's now in the hands of FEMA to review those information that we collected and see whether or not we're able to get public assistance, which is for municipalities, for the 3 most affected counties, Fairfield, Litchfield, and New Haven. So more to follow on that. With that being said, when we talk about the fact that the housing repairs is $42,500 and does not also help businesses, it's absolutely critical that we recognize the significance of our partners at the Small Business Association, which is available both for businesses and for homeowners. And with that being said, I'm going to introduce Catherine Marks, District Director for SBA for Connecticut. Catherine?
Thank you. We are thrilled to be, we're not thrilled to be here. We are here today with FEMA to talk about the assistance that is available for those impacted by the disaster. There was a disaster declaration that affected Fairfield, Litchfield, and New Haven counties. That will include economic injury and personal property. The counties of Hartford and Middlesex is only economic injury. SBA is available for 3 different types of loans. They're available for business physical disaster loans, economic injury disaster loans, and home disaster loans. What's important for those who have been impacted to know is that they should come to one of the centers like the one we're standing by here today at the Monroe Police Department and talk to our SBA officials. Let them help you through the application. What small businesses might not understand all of their economic impact through the storm, but it's important for them to start the process, get the information, and come in to apply. We are really impressed with both the teamwork and the collaboration here in Connecticut between the volunteers, the local leaders, the state leaders, and our federal delegation. And along with FEMA, we're here to help folks recover from this storm that's some call a 1,000-year flood. So any information that folks need, they can go on sba.gov and be directed to the Connecticut Aid. That's sba.gov. But right now we're here. We have a SBA Recovery Center here at the Milford Police Department and also one in Oxford, and then we'll be teaming up with our friends at FEMA in those other 2 locations. Thank you. And I am, as we talk about collaboration, we heard directly from the Commissioner of the Connecticut Department of Economic Community Development right after the flood, so it's my pleasure to hand over the podium to Commissioner O'Keefe.
Thank you so much, Catherine. So Dan O'Keefe, Commissioner of the DECD. As Catherine described, you know, we wanted to move very quickly here, decisively here. I want to continue to thank Governor Lamont for his decisive leadership in how quickly we moved. Just a reminder on what the program is. We announced grants up to $25,000 for impacted small businesses. Our original estimates were that around 200 businesses were affected by these events. You do the simple math, that's a $5 million program. That was our original estimate. I can tell you we have over 300 active applications. So our estimates, unfortunately, were too low. We are going to expand the program. We are not going to turn away a business in need. But as of tomorrow, we will have paid out almost $4 million to these impacted small businesses. And we continue to do a bi-weekly call, really trying to get the information out there into the community. You can find that information on the DECD website. If you're a small business, you've been impacted and aren't already joining those calls, we would invite you to. So I just want to continue to send the message that if you've been impacted by these events, you are not alone. We are here. We are not going anywhere. We're going to continue to work with you as you seek to recover and rebuild. I'd now like to introduce one of our important partners, which is Fran Pastore from the Women's Business Development Council. They have been helping us vet these applications and making sure we're moving as efficiently as we can. She's going to introduce one of the companies that was impacted here. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Commissioner, and thank you all for being here today. This has been an incredible project with the vision of our governor, Ned Lamont. We, as Dan said, we've seen hundreds of applications come through, and one of the businesses that we worked with is Sip and Scoop right here in Monroe. Sip and Scoop opened for business less than 3 weeks before the flood hit. And with us today is Max Ahmed, who is in family business with his father. He is the business manager, and he is one of the recipients of the grants, and he is here to tell you about the impact of those grants on his business. Max?
Hi, thank you so much. So I'll try to keep it very brief. I try to get carried away at times. So I'm basically managing Sip and Scoop ice cream shop. We opened in town 1st of August for a full day. I'm very thankful to Governor Lamont and our selectmen, our local town officials and SBA for doing what they're doing right now, and also allowing the online process for the applications. I actually have software background, and being able to apply quickly, and the website itself was very easy to navigate. So that was very helpful. And I sent a few emails checking on when the funds were going to be available. They were very quick to respond on that. Just about the flood itself, when the flood came, I was in the store actually, so it wasn't like flood, but the rain started pouring and the roof started leaking from the stairs, and then the basement had a little bit of water, and then the electric power kept going on and off. At that point, I decided to leave the ice cream shop. The reason being, I have faced one Mother Nature accident in New York. That was like a 2011-12 snowstorm, which hit Northeast very hard. And actually that time I decided to leave my workplace. So just keeping that in mind, I decided to leave before it gets really bad. And next morning I went to get a haircut in Trumbull, and then I saw power lines down. People were still outside using generators for electricity. Some people were interacting on the road. So obviously this is happening moreover in America as well, as we saw in other parts. 3 days ago there was another rain and flood. So for our officials to come together in these times, especially when we have, I don't want to get very political, but I want to mention that we have parties in America which don't believe in global warming, which is actually a real thing that our world is facing. So I'm very thankful for all the officials to doing what they're doing, especially for a new business, which my dad invested in. He had worked a long time as a cabbie. So for him, investing in a retail business was a big dream come true, and then facing that problem right after when you're opening was a big challenge for us. But with the help, we're gonna order a replacement for a soft serve machine which got damaged with the power on and off. So I'm very thankful for that, and we are open for business. Upstairs was okay, downstairs is where inventory was mostly affected. So if you guys want to stop by, we're like 5 to 7 minutes from here. I have a new drink. I shouldn't be doing that, but I'm gonna mention it's called Fruity Drifts, and I invented it. It's basically fresh fruit with ice cream. So you're more than welcome to try. I got a little late. I was gonna bring you guys some milkshakes, but I got a little late for that. And my daughter is in car actually. She's just 2. I didn't know that I was supposed to bring family or not, but she's just 2 and she's in the car. But thank you for everything that you guys are doing, and also I actually met Slackman's wife in my shop a couple of days ago, but I haven't really met him in person at all.
I've stopped twice.
You have? Maybe I wasn't there, my brother or my employee was there. But I appreciate everything that is being done, and I hope that going forward as well, SBA is helping. And I called actually SBA yesterday and for like a system glitch that I got a message, email when we were applying for the loan, and they were very helpful in even responding to that. So I think everything that the town and government officials and the party itself is doing to bring and resolve the problems that we're facing nature-wise, it's very helpful. And I'm speaking on behalf of Monroe businesses. I didn't expect that, but apparently I am. So I am just saying that we are very thankful for everything that is being done for the town and for coming together for all of it. I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
And I will say that SBA has received over, I think it's 30 requests already, loan applications from businesses, and about the same number from homeowners. So it's important to remember that SBA is available not only for businesses, but also for homeowners as well. Next, we're going to hear from Congressman Jim Himes.
Thank you and good afternoon, everybody. I'm here to join my colleagues in offering thanks for the remarkable leadership that we saw here in these towns that were so badly affected. My own congressional district, Monroe, and particularly Oxford, were brutally hit. And George Temple and Terry Rooney stepped up. You don't sign up for these jobs imagining that you're going to see the kind of imagery that we saw in the flooding. George Temple certainly didn't imagine that he would be presiding over the loss of 2 lives that we can't get back. But what we can do, and what we're here to talk about today, is making sure that the many, many people who saw their homes, their businesses, damaged or destroyed by that flooding, that they get made right as soon as possible. And it's been a thrill, starting with the leadership of our town, of our various affected towns, to see the speed with which DEMAS and FEMA and the FEMA crew and I were together in Oxford probably a week or so after this happened. The speed with which they were on the ground was really remarkable to see. So it hasn't been said specifically, so I'm going to say it now, which is that these centers are open so that individuals who suffer damage to their homes can qualify for $42,500 in aid to address structural damage, or $42,500 in aid to to cover other expenses such as the need to rent, etc. I'm told by FEMA that inspectors are getting out to homes in a matter of 2 or 3 days, and that in some instances, when things go well, that money is dispersed 2 to 3 days later. So the critical thing is that people know that that is available and that they do the documentation of the damage that will allow them to very quickly get the aid that is available. Last thing I want to say is we're so thrilled with SBA and the DEMAS and the FEMA people, all of the folks, the WBDC. You have federal, state, and municipal officials of both parties up here. It's now our job to make sure that we are dispersing that aid and that aid is there. Now, the aid is there partly because we are joined from her congressional district with the ranking member of the House Appropriations Committee. So I'm just thrilled to introduce my colleague, my friend Rosa DeLauro.
Thank you, Jim, and I'm delighted to be in the 4th District, and I wish that we were not having to deal with the issues of the flooding that occurred and people being in difficult situations. But I am really pleased to join everyone here today, and to you, Governor Lamont, for your alacrity in addressing the serious issues that have faced our communities. And what this is about, very simply, is to highlight the resources that are available to our small businesses, to individuals who are recovering from the extreme flooding that earlier this month. If I can, is that Jim made reference to this, but if we could just take a moment of respect for the lives that were lost in this storm. I think our hearts and our thoughts and our prayers go out to the families who lost a loved one. I also want to say a thank you to all of those who worked to mitigate the damage from the floods. The people who were working to restore the railroad and the roads in the region. I went to visit with the Waterbury-Bridgeport line to see what happened there, and they're now thinking they're going to be back in business by November 8th. And so it's really with record speed that some of these projects are forthcoming. And so we owe you all a debt of gratitude that the damage is being repaired at record time, and that the communities are on their way back to recovery. Let me just say something, because everyone will talk about all of what is available, how you access it, etc. Let me just mention to you that something that we were very, very concerned about at the federal level when we were dealing with the resolution that given that September 30th is the end of the fiscal year, it was yesterday, in order for government to continue, since we have not approved the funding bills for 2025, that how are we going to extend the services of the government for the next several months. Well, we passed a continuing resolution with a date of December 20th, and what that did was, in fact, and FEMA sent out its advisory, it lifted immediate needs funding for these incidences. And so there is a $20 billion that is available between now and December 20th, but given the registrations, given the scope of the projects that are out there, some that have been on hold because the money had not been allocated to FEMA, that we are now on the way to being able to address some of the immediate problems. But I have to be honest with you, that's not the end of the road. In the appropriations bills that are coming up, and that will occur between November 6th and December 20th with the appropriations bills, we need, and I checked on estimates this morning on this, given what happened in North Carolina and Tennessee and other states, that we're looking at a low number of $25 billion that needs to be allocated so that FEMA can do its work and to move forward with the scope of the disasters that are out there. No one's fault. No one's fault. These are natural disasters. Disaster relief should be there, and it should be there as quick as we can, but you also have to understand that it does take a while to do it. The floods highlight an increasingly undeniable fact Our entire country is being affected by climate change, severe weather changes and disruptions that it causes. And the federal government, and there is a partnership here, but the federal government must continue to invest in resilient infrastructure that can withstand floods and other disruptive climate change driven weather events. And I wish to you, Mahfouz, because you're the story here today with what happened and what we're able to do, that we didn't have climate change deniers, that we could move forward in addressing the issues today. We need to continue to improve our disaster response processes and individual assistance mechanism to make sure that communities like Monroe and Oxford and Naugatuck and Beacon Falls and others have what they need in order to restore themselves, and so that businesses and individuals can get back on their feet. I was with FEMA yesterday, and we were in Naugatuck, and we were at the home of Mr. Jim Grant, his wife Mary, and daughter Tammy. Their entire house is gutted. Their entire house is gutted, and they're living in a trailer, which they had to buy. $6,500 to get a trailer. And FEMA was there in force, and I'll just say it again. FEMA, SBA, two of the most responsible, productive agencies at the federal level. They get it. They know what they need to do. Sometimes it takes a little while, but I want people to understand that these are agencies that understand. They walk in your shoes on these issues, and they want to try to make it as easy as possible. I will just conclude with this. It will be my goal over the next several weeks as we deliberate on these appropriations to prioritize funding for infrastructure and for disaster relief. Again, it is the responsibility of the federal government to help state and local governments to respond to what are disasters that exceed their capabilities, and to accelerate the transition for cleaner energy, a more resilient infrastructure that can mitigate damage for the future. Thank you. Now, I guess, okay, my job is to introduce a partner for Jim and I on the other side of the Capitol, and that's Senator Richard Blumenthal. And the senator and I were together yesterday in Naugatuck. Richard?
Thank you, Rosie. We worked together yesterday in Naugatuck with Bob Fogel, who is heading the FEMA operation in this region, and very dramatically, FEMA is on the ground along with the SBA. They are already getting money out. $2.5 million is already in the hands of Connecticut homeowners and businesses. They've received more than 900 registrations from survivors. This money is going out to people's bank accounts, homes, businesses. So apply, document your losses. $42,500 for property loss, another $42,500 for the contents of your home, and then the possibility of an SBA loan at low, low interest. The federal government is on the ground helping in the way that it is the victims of Hurricane Helene and the way it responds to tornadoes, other kinds of natural disasters where people need help. And I just want to thank the SBA and the FEMA for their very prompt and effective response. 2 points. Number one, we're building back, but we need to build back better. We can't just go back to the old normal because we face the new normal in climate change. We have to build back resilient. We have to be resolved to build back better. And that goes for the municipalities on roads, bridges, culverts, and for homes that are built near water. Second, we ought to be demanding more of our insurance companies. They are hiding behind the fine print of no flood insurance. Well, from a moral standpoint, if not a legal one, they can and they must do better. Those insurance companies owe Connecticut more than they are doing for homeowners and businesses that were told by banks no need for flood insurance. They were told, we'll give you the mortgage. without the flood insurance. And the insurance companies, in many instances, advise them no problem, no need for it. And now they're saying, no, we won't give you any kind of aid. So I feel very strongly that we ought to be together in going to those insurance companies now and supporting the homeowners and businesses that need our help. Finally, when somebody knocks at your door and they say, we're from the federal government, we're here to help you, ask for their FEMA badge. If somebody calls you on the phone and says, I'm from the SBA, ask to call them back at an authorized number. I know from my days as Attorney General, the opportunity for scams is out there, it's common. There are reports of some of these scams. Protect yourself. Do not give out information. Today, data, information is the coin of the realm. Everybody wants it. They'll stop at nothing to get it from you. So be careful. Protect yourselves from those kinds of scams. Finally, to Mr. Ahmad, thank you for your courage and your strength. You know, normally, I had a flashback as I drove in here. Normally, I'm in Monroe walking with Tony Scott and others, Senator Kelly, and the first selectman last time, marching in the Memorial Day Parade. We wind up here in front of Town Hall. We raise the American flag, and we salute America. Today is about America. What you see here, all of us coming together, regardless of party, regardless of geographic location, this is America, aiding people when they need help. And we're all here coming together as a community, doing it for the people of Monroe, Southbury, Oxford, Seymour, Middlebury, Danbury, all of them suffering this kind of devastation. Thank you all for your help and your great work. Thank you. And I think I'm introducing, or you?
You are welcome to.
Okay.
Governor Lamont.
Governor Lamont, who has been with me, and I'm sure others in many of those towns that I named, he has been omnipresent in those towns, and I've been proud to stand with him. I know others have as well. Thank you, Governor Lamont.
So Dick, you remind me of that wag who famously said the 9 scariest words in the English language. I'm from the government and I'm here to help, unless you need help. And then when they knock on your door, they say, what took you so long, FEMA? What took you so long, SBA? I needed you. And this is a moment where I think you've seen government step up. Pull the clock back to middle of August. We got hit with this hard. A few of us were down at the Claritas Shopping Center in Seymour, and I saw hundreds of volunteers helping those local businesses shovel the mud away. And then we had Teams Inc., and they raised over $1 million in not-for-profits, helping people get back on their feet. Maybe provide a little help for them at the hotel, maybe a little bit of food support, restaurants providing some meals. I saw the volunteerism step up immediately. And then Dan and Fran at the state level taking the lead, doing what we could to get people $25,000 grants, just to help that business with their inventory, a little bit of relief, sort of a bridge to where we are today. And today I'm really proud that the federal government is stepping up in a big way. They were here within weeks. They were there assessing the damage, making sure Connecticut almost immediately got that disaster declaration. That puts us to the front of the line. And now you've heard the variety of different ways that the SBA can provide you a variety of different loans for your small business and your home. And the FEMA stepping in as well to provide those grants that will help you get back on your feet. This is what we're trying to do going forward. And I got to tell you, Max, I'm going to celebrate by going to Sip and Scoop and having a nice milkshake. I'm really glad that that grant was there for you. Yes. Boy, starting up 3 weeks before that terrible flooding, I recommend to everybody, you deserve a milkshake. It's been a hard day. And one last thing I want to say on behalf of our Guard, the Connecticut Guard. We offered up the support here. Terry and company were doing yeoman's work here, getting their roads and bridges done without our help. North Carolina needed our help. We sent our Guard down there. And just the other day, they rescued a bunch of college students flying in by helicopter. They were in their dorm and it was over flooded and they were in trouble. People were saying, I'm glad the government was there to help us this time. Thanks, everybody. Are you taking any questions?
Do you have any questions on the what you've just heard from all of us?
Can you clarify, so there was some state grants and there's some SBA loans and there's some FEMA money, so is there, can you kind of just give us a...
That's a great question, because we do throw a lot of information at you. So the Department of Economic and Community Development, under the governor's leadership and the leadership of Director O'Keefe, Commissioner O'Keefe, set up a loan program almost immediately for up to $25,000 for businesses that were affected by the flooding. And what Mr. O'Keefe was indicating was that they've spent about $4 million of it. So that's the state aid that immediately went out. The FEMA aid is in two different pots, if you will. One is individual assistance, and that's what we've been talking about today. That's the money for people. And was what we got the governor put in his declaration request in a very, very quick amount of time, and we were able to get that major disaster declaration. That opens up money for homeowners and renters, for things as was described by the group here. There's a bunch of different buckets that opens up. And that's what Bob Fogel, the federal coordinating officer, is overseeing. So that's, you kept hearing 42,500. That's a number that's in 3 different places. So the maximum amount, you can get up to $42,500 for house repair. You can get up to $42,500 in rental assistance, and you can get up to $42,500 in other needs assistance, which could be anything from a serious need that you have right away, where they'll give you a check for $750 if you need it, for things like food, if your refrigerator and all your food's gone bad, or it could be to replace, I'm trying to think what else, clothing, medical supplies, things like that. So what's really cool about what FEMA does is that they had inspectors on site almost as soon as we got that declaration, and they've been making appointments with the folks that are applying, and that's where you heard, I think it's 1,042 or 1,047 applications. SBA has a number of different programs, and they're not just for businesses, but the two that you hear most about are physical property, right? So that's to repair the businesses, have the business get new booths for the ice cream place or the ice cream machine or things like that. That's a loan program. The other one is called economic injury disaster loans, and that's if you're able to show that you've been out of business for so long that you have, employees who are not able to get paid, and situations like that. So they have different loans. That's why it's so important that you register and talk with somebody, because as is the case with government sometimes, it's a little bit complex, but it's complex in a good way. So they'll help you get to whatever it is that they can say yes to, whether it's on the FEMA individual assistance side or on the SBA side. The other piece that we are waiting for is the public assistance, which is for municipalities to be reimbursed for 75% of the costs of what they're doing to recover. And we had to do what's called a preliminary damage assessment, which we go out with FEMA and the municipalities, and they assess the damages to see if we hit the FEMA thresholds. We have hit the FEMA thresholds in 3 counties, Litchfield, New Haven, and Fairfield County. And now the request that the governor made for that public assistance program to open up is being reviewed by FEMA. So that's the money side.
Super helpful. And for the 3 different things, this DECD, SBA, and FEMA, are there 3 different websites to go to? Are there 3 different numbers to call?
So you can go to ct.gov/DEMHS, DEMHS, and get links to all 3 of those. Otherwise, when you register with FEMA, I think that also goes to the SBA as well. So that's the way. And DECD, we have a link to it, but you can also go to their website. And what I love about the Google now, as my kids would laugh at me, is that if you just put in what it is you're looking for, it'll bring you to the right site. Any other questions?
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Well done.
Even I can't say much.
You know a little bit about it.
You know what? Because you know so much. You do.
I will.